Tying up another wet fly from Ray Bergman's Trout. This fly is called the Downlooker. Handsome little fly with a orange tag and brown floss to it, and a palmered hackle up the body on that, and a brown mallard wing and tail. Very simple and straightforward. If you want to get into tying some of these wet flies, these are the kind of patterns to look for. It's not complicated with the wing and the hackle on that, and it teaches you some nice skills that you can use in a lot of other different flies. So anyway, that's the Downlooker. I'll get started tying. I'm going to start the Downlooker with my hook on the vise. This is a Mustad 3399 in a size 6. I'm going to debarb the hook. I'm going to attach my thread. For thread, I'm using a Danville 70 denier in black. No, my mistake. I'm using a white first. 70 denier Danville in white, because there's a floss body on this. Even though it is a brown, I don't want to darken it up. So I'm going to attach my white thread about an eye length behind the eye of the hook. I also have a tag of orange floss on this, which I also don't want to darken up. I'll bring that down to the end of the shank. It's going to be just in front of the barb. And here I'll attach my orange floss. I'm using a Danville 4-strand Rayon in orange. Because this is a little bit larger hook, tying in all 4 strands for this tag, although I'm only using 3 strands to wrap the tag, because I'm going to use the 4th for security. What that means is I'll leave this 4th strand right here hanging off the back. I'll bring the other 3 strands around to form the tag of the fly. Just a couple turns is really all you need. And then bringing that 4th strand right over the top. And this provides security so that that floss won't creep down over the bend as the fly is fished, which often happens if you don't have that little security wrap in there. I'll trim this the length of the body. With my tag tied in, I'm going to go ahead and put the tail on this. The tail is just some brown mallard. Now, the thing is, back in the day when they said brown mallard flank, often what they meant was a bronze mallard. Nowadays, there's a distinction between, say, a natural mallard flank that's dyed brown like this versus bronze mallard. It's up to you. I'm just using some actual mallard flank, a natural mallard flank that's dyed brown for this. I'm going to take somewhere in the neighborhood of, I guess, 12 to 15 barbs for this size hook. I'm going to cut those off, and I'm going to tie these in about a shank length long. I'm going to trim those the length of the body. Now I'll tie in my hackle. There isn't a rib on the Downlooker per se, but there is a hackle that's palmered in. It's just I'm using a brown hen hackle here. These are nice long saddle hackles. So you have a nice long feather here to wrap in and palmer in as a rib. And I'm going to process that so that I isolate the tip and cut that off, so I've got a little handle to tie in. And I'm going to peel off the barbs off one side of that. simply because as I wrap this in, if I leave both sides of the barbs on that, for me, it seems a little bit too bushy, just too many barbs. Now you can leave them if you like, it's up to you. This is just a technique you can do if they seem to be a little bit too much. Then I'm going to tie in the body material, which is using a Danville 4-strand rayon in a brown. I'm going to tie this in so that this tag here is the length of the body. I'm going to start wrapping that in. I'm going to collect all this down to the hook shank to give me a nice smooth underbody. I shall wrap that brown floss in for the body and then palmer that hackle in. No collar on the downlooker, so when I bring this up on that 5th wrap, I like to make certain, one, I've selected a feather that's long enough I can get just a little bit of a half wrap in here to give me almost a little bit of a collar right at the end. If that were long enough, I'd go ahead and put in another full wrap just to give myself a little bit of a collar. Not much, because the idea is that the palmered hackle is going to end up being your collar. Trim away the excess. When you select that feather, you want one that is going to have the barbs going to be about at least the gap of the hook, if not one and a half times the gap of the hook. Now with my hackle palmered and tied in, I'm going to attach my finishing thread. I'm using a black. This is just a Danville 70 denier or 6/0 in black. I've already waxed the thread. I'm going to attach that right behind the eye of the hook, wrapping backwards. The only other material we have to tie in is our wing. And the wing is just some brown mallard. Again, I'm using the natural mallard flank dyed brown. I want to get a nice full feather, has a kind of a nice flat end to it. I'm going to trim out the center here like this so that I have the two sides, and then I will fold those together, forming my wing. I want that wing to go about halfway down the tail. Tie that in with a pinch and loop, securing that in. We'll take a look and see how that wing is setting. Scooch that a little bit to get that wing setting in nicely. Trim away the excess. And now I shall finish off the head just making this all nice and smooth with a nice transition down to the eye of the hook. Flattening my thread out, I'll put in my whip finish, some head cement to secure that, and then a couple of coats of black lacquer to help secure that a little bit more, give it a nice sheen to it. Head cement I use is called Fly Tight. It's an alcohol-based head cement. Nice thing is it soaks down in here really, really nice, and it will secure all those thread wraps. Then, like I said, I'll come back and put a couple layers of black lacquer on that to finish off the head of the downlooker. Handsome little fly. I like the colors with the orange tag and the brown floss in the body there. That technique for palmering in the hackle, and actually even palmering half the hackle in, is often used in larger streamers as well as spay flies and some of the classic Atlantic salmon flies. So you get the nice look of having some legs down under here, gills, maybe whatnot, if this is representing an insect, but it's not so thick that it ends up looking more like a baitfish. So that's the downlooker. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. But what's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.